You know, you had these records from Walter Reed on the autopsies, and you talked about the fact they had this scaly skin that was put together in a certain fashion, so on. Did they ever come to a conclusion like these were manufactured biological robots, or?
The only conclusion was, I think we all came to this together because of the sex organs and the different organs in the lymph systems, lungs and stomach. It was a clone.
Certain groups of power elite are in touch with them on a physical level. Well, many of them are implanted. Many of them are so implanted that they have now become part of the gray group mind. And the Andromedans no longer consider some of these human beings, Terrans as they call us, human at all anymore. They're nothing but clones for what the Greys want. And they pass down orders, they tell others what to do, and of course the chain of command that we've established on our planet is exactly what's happening.
This happened. The project was very much alive and viable, and part of the project involved aliens. Anatomically, the Greys looked stripped much like this. They were sexless. They did not procreate. They reproduced by a form of cloning.
Since 1938, they've been making clone people.
And using surrogate mothers who were typically human mothers, where somehow the seed was implanted and they went through the first trimester, and then the incomplete child was removed. There's thousands of medical cases and documentation of women who had a baby starting to grow, and then suddenly it isn't there anymore. This was what happened. These aliens were using human mothers as surrogates.
So they were hypnotizing women, you know, said they were being invaded by aliens, and the fetus starts growing, right? Needs food. Well, they can use cows and sheep, too. Again, a food source, that's all we need. After about 14 weeks, all of a sudden that fetus is gone, because they've learned to take, that's when the fetus starts developing its own blood supply. Then they've used a pituitary hormone extract that they have, which accelerates the being that grows. And the original technology was given to our government by the Greys.
And after that, they were taken to the underground laboratories and they were grown the rest of the way in their underground systems of tubes, not vacuum, but liquid tubes and other systems, until they were adults. They were grown and born, if that's the proper term, as an adult, about 3.5 feet high. They didn't have any children. They looked very much like this. They had very strange internal structures. They could not eat. Their digestive tract was almost totally atrophied. And they had to absorb nutrition by sitting in it in a vat, absorbed it through their skin, and about 2 weeks later they excreted the waste products again through their skin.
Now we discussed the different type of aliens, the service to self entities and the service to other entities. Well, when you go into the fourth density, and this doesn't necessarily apply to the service to other entities because they're more like us, they're human, but when you're talking about little gray guys and reptoids, they tend to have a nutrition requirements that are 50% spiritual and 50% physical. Now, what the physical component is the blood product, which they don't consume, they don't drink it, they actually bathe in it and they absorb the nutrients through osmosis. They'll have tanks will just, soak in the blood.
Now, I'm going to tell you something a little bit different about the alien species. The bad news ones, there are 9 races of alien populations. To look at a human being as a bag of food. They're not cannibals. They don't eat the flesh and the bones and all that kind of stuff. They use the glandular secretions of animals and human beings as a mixture of the vitamins for their food. They get high off of our adrenal gland substances called adrenochrome. 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 Adrenochrome.
Well, the spiritual nutrition is called loosh, L-O-O-S-H. This is what they call it. What is loosh? Loosh is negative human, emotional, psychic energy. Okay, what is that? The opposite of love. Hate, anger, fear, despair, loneliness, heartbreak, anxiety. When you watch a scary movie, you're generating loosh. When somebody breaks your heart and you're sitting at home feeling sorry for yourself, you're producing loosh. They love to get somebody like me upset. That's right. And this is one of the reasons why they like to stick us in these big cities. Keeps us, it's like cattle in a stockyard. You know, why would you want to have your cattle scattered across the country? It's much easier to manage them when they're in one little place. And you can collect that energy really easy, you know. Perhaps the cell phone towers may even be part of that. I mean, I don't know how they collect this energy, but, you know, you've got a place like the Getty built underneath L.A. County. Can you imagine how much loosh L.A. probably produces on a daily basis with all the crap that goes on in that city? Ghostbusters, Den of Iniquity. Well, you know what? All these negative guys, we talk about these reptoids and whatnot, and they feed on this loosh, this negative energy. Well, again, what's the opposite of that? If they need this negative energy to survive, then what's poisonous to them? Love, happiness, joy, lack of fear.